15 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows of a low of around 62. High temperatures reach up to 87. Tomorrow, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Mid-80s Friday and Saturday with storms both days. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently 55.
Spina bifida is a common birth defect, and everyone with spina bifida from childhood through adulthood deserves to flourish. The Spina Bifida Association is creating a future where this is more than just possible. It's inevitable. We're advancing clinical care and shaping innovative research. With your help, we'll build the future that people with spina bifida deserve. Join us at SBAA.org. That's SBAA.org. This message is sponsored by the Spina Bifida Association of America.
For the longest time, it was hard for me to even get out of the house, much less do a backside 180. That's when I made the call. With my doctor's help, I was diagnosed with anxiety. Now I'm finding better ways to cope. Sure, some days are better than others, but the whole thing about getting out of the house, that's not really an issue anymore. Mental health care works when you make the call.
See what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Wednesday morning, progressives. Welcome to the June 3rd, 2026 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. Email me at richard@wcpt820.com and follow me on all the socials under Choose Views. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. That's where we're hanging out. There you can get Choose Views featured interviews, Joan Esposito live, local and progressive, driving it home with Patty Vasquez. It's The Democracy Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other shows and interviews. Also in the evenings, make sure to check out the Politics Bar, Matt McNeil's show, and the Gailey Show. Those are the other programs that we have running in the evening time, and you want to make sure you're checking them out, plugging into them, and making your way also over to where? Heartlandsignal.com. So, what's happening over there? Pride Month. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says the LGBTQ community will continue to be, quote, welcome, celebrated, and free in this city, even as Trump's administration tries to tear down their rights. And that is definitely what we stand for here in Chicago. We'll have the mayor on Friday, so we'll talk about that probably, certainly a few other things that are going to be on the list. But make your way over to heartlandsignal.com. We have a couple of great comments and posts from Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. And one of the things that he talks about is that, and this is the one that I think a lot of people need to hear and really dig into. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker defends the state legislature is not finalizing a deal with the Chicago Bears Stadium, saying that he won't get pushed around by billionaires that are trying to get as much taxpayer money as they can. I mean, it is a conversation that's going to be had, and people are going to say what they're going to say about it. But this is the other thing, too, that I think that this is part of that conversation. Those who don't live in Chicago or live in even Illinois may not know this, but there has been for years, Daniel Burnham and Marshall Field for years ago did the work to prevent the lakefront from being filled with living space, apartments and homes and condos and all that, because of that, it's preserved the lakefront's beauty, I believe, and it's also preserved the environmental aspects of the lakefront. And I think that that's something that we don't forget about it, but it's certainly part of the conversation when we talk about building a new stadium along the lakefront for any sports team or organization. You know, I know that there's a lot of conversation coming up now about the data centers or technology centers that are taking place on the southeast side of the city of Chicago. That's certainly a big part of the conversation that we're going to continue to have. But I think that the other thing that some people miss when it comes to the Chicago Bears and the stadium, which is Soldier Field, which is owned by the city of Chicago, you know, to give you the parameters there, building a new stadium along the lakefront that was owned by a private entity, it crosses the code that we've had. Not just, what's the word I want to use? Oh, gosh, I just drew a blank. But at the end of the day, it crosses a code that we have had in place for a long time, a literal code here in the city of Chicago. So, you know, I think that the governor is in the right space on this, and I think the mayor is in the right space on this. I don't look to, you may disagree with me and say that the city should do whatever it takes to keep the Bears, and the state should do whatever it takes to keep the Bears. I don't think that that's, you know, what I would say in terms of do whatever it takes. I think they have to do what they can do, and it has to be reasonable. And the city and the city and the folks that live in the city of Chicago have the last say. Now that's probably going to tick off some people that live in the suburbs, but the people that live in the city of Chicago, let me say it again, and the people that are residents of the city of Chicago, owners, renters, and all that, and the city's government and the state legislators who are elected by should have the biggest say. That's kind of how I see it. So y'all can be upset with me about that, but I started with the point of what the governor said about, you know, giving them whatever they want is not, you know, that's not good business, and supporting the state legislators for, you know, not getting pushed around just because. So there you go. And I think that should hold true when it comes to other business decisions that our state legislators and elected officials have to make. So we'll see how that plays out. On today's show, we keep it moving along. In the 6:30 hour, Preston Blakely and Dalton George, two governors, two mayors in North Carolina that will be hanging out with us in the 6:30 hour and talking about their podcast, Do You Even Live Here? Interesting that I would be talking about the Bears and sports teams and, you know, the comments that we get from people that don't live here. But be that as it may, those two mayors will be with us, Preston Blakely and Dalton George from North Carolina. And then in the 7 o'clock hour, our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 will be with us. And at 7:30, Brian Lemek will stop and hang out with us for a little bit as well, talking about voting and given what's happened in the last few weeks as it relates to some of the primaries and some of the special elections. I know he's got a lot to say about that and preserving the vote. Defend the Vote is the organization that he is the executive director of. Okay, so today's question is a question / I want to get your observations as much as anything. So I frame it as a question that's sort of just something to think about as it relates to the bigger picture of Democrats winning as we go forward, and not just the midterms. We had a ton of primaries yesterday, and the results that have come in, you know, have been pretty good. We had some success in New Jersey. I know that one of the Republican congressmen that's been kind of missing in action for the last few weeks, he won his primary, which is amazing to me that he hasn't shown up for a lot of votes and some other things that have gone on, but apparently he won his primary, as did the Democrat there. So they're going to face off in the fall, which is good to see. We got a good, strong Democratic person that's running there in New Jersey. So that's a seat that we might be able to pick off. And some other places where we've had some successes. A Trump-endorsed person, Randy Feenstra, who was running for a governor in Iowa. He conceded in his primary. This is a Trump-backed person that did not win, so that's a good thing. And then hopefully the corporate media will talk, as much as they try to talk about Donald Trump's, you know, importance in Indiana in terms of the some of the state legislators there and congressional races. all those things that people said that he's put his thumb on the scale and it's been effective. The race with Paxton and Cornyn. Here's one where it didn't work. So, let's talk about that too. But we had some successes, and the one I was speaking about in New Jersey is Tom Keene Jr. He's a Republican that has not been showing up for work basically for the last few weeks. And but we had Democratic former Navy pilot who's done well there. So they'll be running off, not running off, but they'll be competing later in the year. But my question is this. The big conversation that a lot of people were having. I know I talked about this a number of weeks ago because I was concerned about where we were potentially headed. And I say we because I look at where we are right now as a we conversation. What's going on in New York affects us here in Illinois, I believe at this point. What's happening in Illinois affects what's going on in California and everything in between. So when we talk about politics in another community, I think it's important, or when we know that there are things happening in other communities, I think it's important that we talk about what those things are, particularly as progressive liberal Democrats that say that we care about what goes on for all of us in our big tent. So the question is really around your thoughts. What are your thoughts around the California elections? We know that the governor's race was looking a little shaky because the two Republican candidates were the ones 2 months ago, right before Swalwell's things came out and all that. They were the two leading candidates, and a lot of people were concerned that if we had to, based on how California's races run for the governor, the top two in the primary are the ones that go on for the general. But it looks like Javier Becerra has moved into second place at this point behind Steve Hilton by a pretty narrow margin, I think a percentage point. And then Tom Steyer and the other Republican, Bianco, I think his name is. So what I'm asking is this. Karen Bass is headed to a runoff in Los Angeles. She's a current mayor. Looks like she's going to hold court, at least at this point. And the California governor's race has shown that when we lean in, we do well. So Javier Becerra and Hilton will probably be the two that are running against each other in the general. So we'll see how the numbers play out because California has a longer cycle of determination because of the amount of mail-in ballots. So where do you guys land in this conversation in terms of what's going on in California, the governor's race and the mayor's race? Big conversations and obviously national concerns on a national level. It's important that we maintain a governor in California that's got his or her sense about them. And want to know what you guys think about that race. Also, in that statement or in that question, I want to know at this point if it's going to be Becerra as a Democratic front runner or the number two total behind Hilton. At what point, and this is what I want to hear from you guys on, at what point do the other Democrats that are running not just obviously step out of the race because we've got the two top performers, but when do they need to then flip the switch and say that we are behind Becerra? Because it's about that mass of votes that were people that were going to vote for Katie Porter or they're going to vote for Tom Steyer and other Democrats that need to shift so that Becerra gets that majority that he needs to win in the general. So let me know your thoughts about California. Let me know what you're feeling about both L.A. mayor's race as well as the California governor's race. Let's take a quick break, guys. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 here in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, and we'll be right back.
WCPT replay.
I mean, look, Kash Patel should no more lead the FBI than Trump's other favorite, Hannibal Lecter, should be the head chef at a restaurant. Robert Kennedy deciding what protections to eliminate in our healthcare system is like deciding whether it's better to get eaten by a shark or electrocuted when your boat sinks. Remember that? That's the deranged and dangerous world we're in now, and we need each other in this world. The time for blame is over. It doesn't help. We cannot go into this moment allowing ourselves to be isolated from other people. So look, let's please recommit to each other. Let's also commit that we will try to be grateful while we fight, as Americans always have, for a democracy and a government worthy of a great people.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Hey, Max, you look sharp in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world as a guide dog?
You bet, Daisy. And your purple service dog vest really pops against your shiny fur.
First day on the job for both of us. We've got this, right?
You bet. Dogs Inc. trained us well.
Ready to make a difference for our humans?
Born ready.
Discover how extraordinary guide and service dogs change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom? She started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
Mike's on, truth's out. This is Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. I wanted to go through something that's taking place that I think everybody should be aware of. And we got a clip that we're going to play in a second, because I want it to be the kind of the motivation around how Democrats can and should be fighting. But you guys saw last week that Tulsi Gabbard is no longer the DNI, which is the director of national intelligence. She stepped down, and now Trump has named a guy named Bill Pulte to that agency. The reason I want to take a moment and talk about this, rather than Choose Views News this morning, is it's something to pay attention to, and here's why. This guy Pulte is part of the Pulte Group and Pulte Construction. You've heard the name, and he is the guy that's been the head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. He's also the person, and let me talk about this from the perspective of I think he's dangerous, and I think he's dangerous as we talk about elections. If you guys remember, Tulsi Gabbard was a person that was hanging out in Georgia when they were grabbing the voter rolls and information earlier this year. And she was questioned as to why she was there. And, I find it a little suspicious that she's gone now. But, hey, I'm going to trust that what she said is true about her family. And there we are. But the reason that Pulte, I believe, is dangerous is because of the way in which this is coming down and his what he's done of late when it comes to trying to go after people for Trump. I think he's a danger to voting. I said this before, that I think that when it comes to the midterm elections, that they're going to try to use something that's a disruptor. And this is where I'm coming from on this specific thing with Pulte. I think they may try to use intelligence to say that there are issues, because now that he's head of the DNI, of National Intelligence, I think that he may be instructed by Donald to try to find or make up something as it relates to issues regarding voting, something that's coming from a foreign player that they want to say that's, they might try to blame an Iranian for trying to do something to mess with our elections. They'll try to use the same type of investigations, because this is who this guy is. It's the same person that went after Letitia James about housing. He went after Jerome Powell about the use of money, and as it relates to the building of the construction at the federal building. and even Adam Schiff have used intelligence to go after these people, to dig up information. So don't put it past them that now this guy is the head of the Department of National Intelligence, and it's a acting role, that this is where we really have an issue. A person, let me bring it to you this way. Under the Federal Vacancies Reform Act, a Senate-confirmed cabinet member is appointed to serve in an acting capacity in a new or different office, can typically serve for 210 days. So what does that mean? Pulte was confirmed by the Senate for his role as the head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency. What Trump has done is shifted him to another role as the head of the DNI. He has no experience. Me, Mike, and Henry could cobble together a team to do better job than this guy was going to do, because he has no experience in this space. He's 38, 39 years old, so it's not an age thing for me. It's just he doesn't have the experience. But because of the way in which he's being moved and appointed as the acting director of the DNI, he's going to have access to a tremendous amount of information, that intelligence specifically, that in this next window of time, what's going to take place in this 210 days, that an acting, someone that's already been approved for another cabinet position can be appointed as in an acting role, it's 210 days. So what's going to happen in roughly 210 days? The midterm elections. So we have to take this seriously, that this guy being appointed is not, one, qualified, but he has been Senate appointed to his prior role. And this move could be one that would put him in a position to have the ability to disrupt the election. I am not a, screaming from the rafters, scared person on this. I'm just saying, let's all be informed. Bill Pulte is can be a danger to voting. So let's pay attention. Don't get upset with the Dems about this, because they're already, in terms of legal standing, there's very limited amounts that they have, but they are asking for an investigation. I don't know if the Republicans will move on it. So call your congressional leaders, just two specifically, Johnson and Thune. So here are their numbers again. Johnson's number is 202-225-2777, and Thune's number is 202-224-2321. Let's take this seriously, guys, because this is a person that's been moved to a role as an acting individual, and that could have some detrimental impact on the midterm elections because of the access that he has to sensitive intelligence information and how they will try to use it. If he's already proven he will use information from his housing role on Letitia James, on Jerome Powell, and on Adam Schiff. So let's pay attention to this space. I think that we have a lot of opportunity here if we just pay attention, and the opportunity is to be ready to fight. Can we play that clip real quickly before we go to break? This is how you fight, guys. This is how you fight.
But you got to listen to this clip of Ossoff, because this is how Democrats need to talk about our opponents.
See, they tried to run Kemp, but he refused.
That's the governor.
So we're left with the congressman who's only a congressman because his daddy was a congressman, and the coach who's only a coach because his daddy was a coach. And both already mired in scandal.
Listen to this.
The congressman under investigation for paying your tax dollars to his criminal staffer's girlfriend for apparently no work. While the coach's family got tens of millions of your tax dollars courtesy of Governor Kemp and then poured cash into the governor's PAC to prop up the coach's campaign.
That's insane, bro. Like,
they should have to come out and answer questions about all of it right now. Right now.
And get locked up, but you know.
But Atlanta, it doesn't matter which one wins. They're both corrupt political insiders, and they're both pro-war, pro-tariff, and pro-cutting your health care. They're both Trump puppets, and we'll beat either one of them in November.
Beat them both, John. That's right. You got to read these people for absolute filth.
So that was Senator from Georgia, John Ossoff. And the commentary, the clip was actually from Isaiah Martin, who you guys know ran for Congress down in Texas. And as Isaiah is staying very plugged into what's happening in politics. So we'd like to give him a shout out. But that's how we fight. We call it out. Don't wait. Don't tiptoe around it. Just call it in the moment. And with the situation with Bill Pulte, we have to talk about that now. We can't wait till, October and go, oh, wait a minute, he's messing with our information. No, we got to do it now because they've got a history, this administration, of doing that, whether it be Doge and what they did there. It doesn't matter. Let's call it out when we know about it. And I'm telling you, this 210-day window that an acting can be in that role, we have to pay attention to that. Let's take a quick break. 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago and 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, as well as our good friends from AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. When we come back, Preston Blakely and Dalton George will be with us. We'll be right back.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
There are many times I thought, I can't do this. I mean, what parent isn't worried about? What am I not doing right? What am I not doing enough? And then I realized, wait, that's being a parent.
Don't worry about being perfect. I've had around 3 other mother figures in my life, but only one of them has taught me how a mother loves.
The greatest reward for me is he makes me better every day.
I would tell a family considering adopting a teenager that teenager, whoever it is, needs you, and they need what you have to offer.
Taylor's giving me hope. He's our son, and that is what he will always be.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council. We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for and loved, and that they're important.
I knew I wanted to be adopted by him because of how he taught me to be the person who I am today. And it's coming from a dad that didn't expect to become a dad, and I feel very proud to be his son.
I was what he needed, and he was what I needed. Every day is full of new opportunities. That's what it's been about, realizing the simple things that it takes to make such a huge difference in these kids' lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Chicago's Progressive Talk WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Find rebates and discounts on energy-efficient products at ComEd.com/home savings.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. High of 84 today, under partly cloudy skies, southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows of aloft around 62. High temperatures reach up to 87. Tomorrow, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Mid-80s Friday and Saturday with storms both days. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently 55.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
It's Choose Views, where we read more than just the headline. Now here's your host, Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Yes, we are here this morning, and local is so important. It's a connected, dotted line connection to state and federal. And the last year or so, we've been really blessed to have a great connection with a lot of the local officials in North Carolina. We broadcast down there. And the Democratic chair, Anderson Clayton, has become, a real force in the state, but certainly throughout the country. Dalton George, Mayor Pro Tem of the Town of Boone, North Carolina, and Preston Blakely, the Mayor of Fletcher, North Carolina, they host a podcast, and I love this title, Do You Even Live Here? And I am so happy to welcome these two gentlemen to Choose Views. Good morning, guys. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks
morning.
for having us.
We're glad to be here.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to dive in, as I say, in the deep end of the pool by asking the question about the podcast. Let's start there because I love the name. I mean, let me set the table for you as to why. Chicago is the third largest city in the country. It's sits here right in the middle of the Midwest, and it's connected to our state borders. 4 or 5 other states, and we have a lot of people that come to Chicago to work and to partake in the greatness of our city. And oftentimes, as big cities are, the same thing will be in New York and LA and Houston, all across the country. Ask the question, where are those folks coming from that are visiting our city or coming to work here? So when I think about the title of your podcast, Do You Even Live Here? Tell us how that came about and what that's really all about and how you guys have really kind of navigated in this space. And Preston, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to make a correction. My buddy Dalton here is the now mayor of Boone, North Carolina.
No longer pro tem? All right.
Yeah, that's right. He's the mayor of Boone, North Carolina, so I definitely want to give him his flowers. He and I are both two of the youngest mayors in the state of North Carolina. I was once the youngest mayor in the state of North Carolina, but now I'm an old mayor at 31 years old. But I got to give a lot of credit to Dalton. Dalton was really the brainchild behind the name Do You Even Live Here? And I think the idea of the show is, it's pretty simple, right? We wanted to create a conversation about North Carolina that really feels grounded in the people that actually live in the state of North Carolina, especially in small towns or rural communities that often get overlooked. And I often say in North Carolina, and this is probably true in Illinois too, there's more Fletchers and Boones and, these small towns rather than Chicago's or Charlotte's for North Carolina reference, right? And we really wanted to raise up some of those conversations. And, I think a lot of the policy conversations or political conversations happen at a 30,000-foot view. But, local government is where people actually experience life. And that happens in small and rural communities too. It's, where people still feel housing costs and healthcare shortages and storm recovery for Dalton and I in the western part of the state, experiencing Hurricane Helene, education issues, economic development, quality of life, those same issues that we deal with all across North Carolina and all across our country. And we really want to build a platform where the conversations can happen in a really real and accessible way.
Yeah, that's great stuff. So, Mr. Mayor, fully engaged Mayor Dalton, give us your take on that.
Yeah, I think that you teed it up so well, and folks in Chicago could relate to this title of Do You Even Live Here, which is sometimes the people that are talking the most about our communities, whether it's rural Appalachia or Chicago, don't even live there.
Come on now.
And that's kind of tongue in cheek in that way. And the folks that are driving policy, right? People are legislating, which in ways that's going to impact the livelihood of folks in Preston and I's community, in cities, whatever. And they don't know the community well. And maybe they've been there, maybe their address is there, but they don't really live there, right? So it was kind of a funny way to take to task this media sphere that we've seen and this political world where a lot of decisions are made and these narratives are spun about communities by folks that have no real deep connection there and haven't taken the time to learn. And there's no better example than the way folks talk about Chicago across the country, right? And so I would argue those folks don't live there. They do not even live there. They're not passing the test that we have. And we're doing the same here in rural Appalachia.
Yeah, well, and I'm not going to make this about us, but about Chicago. But yes, we fully understand what you just said to that point, Dalton. That is a reality. But the beauty of the name of the podcast and how it's being presented is you guys are really tackling those issues. I mean, you're taking on the local issues, which, as I've said, local or state is national, and national is regional, and regional is local. So those dotted lines, you guys have really kind of mastered the conversation and done a great job of highlighting some of the things that people in the state need to know more about. Are you guys, as mayors of your two respective cities, as mayors, what are you seeing are your, biggest issues? I know everybody's talking about certain things that are part of what's coming from the federal government. What's happening there on the ground in your two cities? And Dalton, why don't you continue since we left off with you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I would be remiss if I didn't start talking about really the lack of consistency we've seen from the federal government in the wake of Hurricane Helene, right?
Mm-hmm.
So coming up on 2 years of that, and Preston and I are both mayors of towns that faced that disaster and have continued to navigate through that. And so when you have a federal government that I always like to say has not been the adult in the room, so to speak, and has decided to, now after an incredible historic disaster is the time to reevaluate all of our disaster response, not after we've helped people and put them in homes. We want to do it in the middle of it. That lack of consistency has really hurt regular folks. And I think that it's created this feeling of distrust in some ways of the programs that are set in place to help. And I think that's going to be a conversation in these midterms for everybody in Western North Carolina, which is who's shown up and helped me and who's advocated for me. And again, that's what we have done with the bully pulpit and the mayor's office, is communicate those challenges. Affordability is another thing we hear across the nation. That's the case with rural North Carolina as well, right? Smaller mountain towns have a lot of challenges to navigate. Geographically, we can't build in the way that maybe other communities can, and we still need places for folks to live, especially in the wake of an equitable rebuild. And to me, those are the top of the mind things. Education is a huge battle here in North Carolina as well. We have went 3 years without a state budget. For the folks in North Carolina, you're probably well aware of that. But that impacts public schools. And even though Preston and I are not formally in charge of public schools, we represent a lot of people that rely on them, whether for employment or education. So ongoing battles in a number of ways. And North Carolina, I always say this, it's not necessarily fun. But it's always interesting. It's never boring here in North Carolina. I can say that confidently.
Preston, talk a little bit about Fletcher and some of the things that are on the ground issues that may be similar to what Dalton just said, or maybe slightly different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the challenges that Dalton is seeing in Boone are unique just to Boone. I mean, we're seeing really similar challenges in Fletcher and throughout North Carolina, and perhaps throughout our nation, right? The one unique thing to Western North Carolina, and as Dalton said, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this Hurricane Helene recovery, right? Just for the folk, and I can't raise this up enough. It was the most impactful storm to hit mainland since Hurricane Katrina, right? And so that's a really big deal. We're talking about a $60 billion recovery for our entire region, and there are folk down in Louisiana that are still really recovering from Hurricane Katrina, right? And so if we're dealing with this here in West North Carolina and they're still dealing with it down in Louisiana, I can only imagine how much longer we have to go. And as Dalton said, Mayor George said, the federal government has not been a friend of ours. They've not been the adult in the room. They've, wanted to reform FEMA right in the middle of our recovery, which has been incredibly frustrating. Christy Nome was not I would argue, not a great partner for us when you put policies in place that say, hey, to get this money down, anything over $100,000, I'm having to sign off on it. And again, we're talking about a $60 billion recovery. That's everything. Everything is over $100,000. And so we're talking about not only the recovery here in West North Carolina, but, in Oregon and California, right, and Florida, all these folks are dealing with this, and it's clogging up the system. And so she's gone now. And so I'm interested to see how Secretary Mullett does in the position. I think he's made the statement that he was going to get rid of that policy, and I hope he does, because that's been incredibly impactful for us here at the local level. But as Dalton said, housing affordability, that's a major issue in Fletcher, Boone, across our nation. It's not unique to Fletcher. It impacts us. We're seeing rising costs across the board, and local governments are increasingly expected to, respond, even though municipalities don't provide some of these services that maybe the state should be providing. But again, we haven't had this budget in 3 years, and really that comes back on our county commissioners, and particularly with schools and making sure our schools are well funded, infrastructure, transportation. Anybody in West North Carolina, particularly after Hurricane Helene, when so much of our infrastructure was damaged, washed away. We're seeing a lot of frustrations with that. We've already had frustrations pre-Helene, and so we're trying to make sure that infrastructure is completely there. And finally, a little bit more specific to my area, we're having real conversations surrounding healthcare, right? And so we're incredibly concerned about the cuts to Medicaid that are happening, particularly in rural areas, right, that really rely on those Medicaid dollars. And so there's a real conversation about whether some of these hospitals are able to remain open or not after these Medicaid cuts. And so that is a real concern as we have folks that are having to drive, perhaps an hour now to get health care. If these rural hospitals close, they're going to have to drive, 2 hours to have a baby. And in the United States of America, I will argue that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable anywhere in this world.
Yeah, guys, we're going to take a break in a second. And I want to come back. One of the things that was on my notes to talk to you about is the rural, I guess you could say, both disenfranchisement that's taking place. At the same time, the goal to bring the rural messaging to the forefront. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk to both of you guys a little bit about that. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, and I'm talking with two mayors, Preston Blakely and Dalton George, and we'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. When Pearl Harbor was attacked, men of all races across the country volunteered to join the fight, despite the United States Army being heavily segregated. Black enlistees were mostly assigned to combat support roles. But this did not stop Lieutenant Colonel Paul L. Bates, who knew of the racism and pushed his soldiers to achieve excellence. The 761st Tank Battalion was formed in the spring of 1942. It contained 30 black officers, 6 white officers, and 676 enlisted men. The unit donned the nickname the Black Panthers, wearing patches on their uniforms with a panther on it and the slogan, "Come Out Fighting." And in 1944, the 761st was assigned to General George Patton's Third Army in France. General Patton gave a colorful speech to his crew, and the Black Panthers became the first African-American tank squad in World War II. And by the end of the war, the Black Panthers had fought further east than every other United States unit, receiving 391 decorations for their heroism.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn.
When I first had Jordan, I'd get comments all the time about how happy I must be. I remember thinking, there must be something wrong with me because I don't feel all this joy I'm supposed to be feeling. That's when I made the call. My doctor told me I have postpartum depression, and treatment is available. These days, things are feeling right, even if they don't always go that way. Mental health care works when you make the call.
See what it can do for you at mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
Don't hit that snooze button. It's time for Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. With us this morning are two mayors from North Carolina, Preston Blakely and Dalton George. And before we left, I talked about the impact of our rural brothers and sisters all over the country. So much of the country is rural, and that's one of the beauty points of the country is when you get out of the city and you can take a drive along a great, rural roadway or country roadway anywhere, California or North Carolina or in upstate New York or in Florida. That's one of the beauties of our country. And for the longest time, it's been said that, Democrats have not paid attention to rural voters and rural issues as a result. And I see that there's been a shift, but a lot of that shift has been driven by guys like you. Talk to us about how you're moving the needle in terms of rural being recognized and being part of the conversation, not as an afterthought, but at a seat at the table. And let's start with you, Preston.
Yeah, sure. Just to give you a little bit of context about the town of Fletcher. I mean, we have about 8,000 residents. About 4% of my residents are Black. I think about 88, 89% are white. The largest employer in my community is a school system, right? We have a large manufacturing presence. And it's a conservative town, right? My town voted for Trump. And I have found myself when I ran for election the first time, I was 24 years old, going on 25, running for council, trying to figure out how to navigate these waters as somebody that particularly doesn't think like my neighbors, right? Particularly on these big, federal and state issues. And trying to figure out how to navigate that and have those, kitchen table conversations with them about, why I think I should be council member and then 2 years later, mayor. And, I hadn't been incredibly involved in my community. And so for me, I found myself, and I think this is something maybe we could specifically do in small town, rural America, but I found myself going around my community and knocking on doors and meeting people where they're at, right? And so whether there's a knock on a door, a phone call or a postcard, I talked to the folk here in rural North Carolina about the issues that matter to me. I met them where I was at. And interestingly, what I found, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of issues that we disagree with, right? There's a lot of issues we disagree with. But what I found, there's a lot that we do agree with too, and, are kind of seeing eye to eye on. And so when I made my way around, we just talked about the issues that are impacting West North Carolina. They're impacting everybody, and everybody's looking for solutions to those issues. And, you look across this nation, Democratic policies remain the most popular policies, and I would argue are the policies that help rural America the most, because when we talk about Medicaid cuts, again, that hurts rural America. That hurts people in West North Carolina. And so again, when I actually got the opportunity to sit down and talk to people and, understand why they think the way they think about these issues, and I can explain to them, the same thing for me, I found myself kind of chipping away at that ice block. And we're still chipping away, to be clear, right? We're still chipping away, to be clear. But, I found myself chipping away at it just by having those kitchen table conversations and really meeting people where they're at. And I found tremendous success in that space.
Yeah. Dalton, tell us what your experience has been and what you're doing to keep that conversation strong and alive.
Yeah, I mean, I think what rural folks want the most, what rural voters want the most, is to feel adequately represented in the process that we're in, and whether that's having their stories fairly told or being advocated for in a policy, in a legislative sense. When you think about the South, when you think about Appalachia, there's a lot of stigma around that, right? and the reality is that this region is full of hardworking folks that just want to do the best for their family, and they want to see their neighbors thrive and be successful. And so the thing that I think is really interesting about Preston and I's role as mayors in small town, Boone is about 20,000 folks, is that we have to message all the time. I mean, if I'm in the grocery store, somebody's asking me, Dalton, why did my rent go up? Dalton, why is this pothole there, right? And that's something that maybe other elected officials don't have to deal with as much. But if you're a rural elected official, you're navigating what it means to be communicating every day. When you're mowing your lawn, somebody might go, what are you doing about taxes this year? And I would wager that, the mayor of New York or something, as much as I admire him, doesn't necessarily deal with that kind of, that interfacing with the community in that way as you do in a small town, because you are right next to each other in every sense of the word. And so what I've learned about the rural voter and what we need to do is we need to look to local folks as key messengers, because oftentimes they're well practiced, and two, recognize that the South and Appalachia is a really diverse place, full of a number of folks that really just want to see everybody be successful. I always say this quote, it's, we all do better when we all do better.
Yes,
right?
we do.
And that's what I encourage even people outside of this region, outside of rural regions, to recognize, hey, if our rural communities are winning, our urban communities are winning, and vice versa.
And, to that point, a couple of things that have gone through my mind, I just had to kind of shut my brain off and listen to what you guys are saying. But the one thing that I can tie into is What Mayor Mandami has succeeded at actually is, though, what you just said about talking to people right there on the street, talking to folks as he, that's been kind of his superpower. And, young cats like you are picking up on that and just talking to people, whether you're cutting the grass or you're coming out of a 5-star restaurant in Manhattan. He's done that in a very, very good way. And people have said, this dude is real. And I think about that as it relates to our, here in Chicago, we have wards and we have aldermen and women, and they are this, their entire ward might be 20,000 people, to give you the comparison. The most successful ones are the ones that have those right in the neighborhood conversations, not dissimilar to what you have in your entire community. And I think that is across the board message that all of us as Democratic leaders or voices have to be willing to do, is to have those local, right around the corner conversations. I say this at least every week. I don't know if I say it every day, but find somebody that's close to you, connect with them, talk to them about the issues, and we as individuals can make the change. But we do have to give ourselves a permission to say, you know what, I can start right here in my neighborhood to make some things happen and build from there. And you guys have obviously taken that to that level. As we wrap up real quick, what's been the most revealing thing for each of you when it comes to the podcast? And we'll start where we left off with you, Dalton, real quick.
Well, I'll build on what you said just now as well. Folks like real leaders, folks like authentic leadership, and to the point of, if I'm giving anybody advice when you're going out there and talking to people, be yourself. Nobody wants to hear that polished Senate candidate that we're so used to hearing, right? Folks, politicians, we were politicians, talk like the Senate, commercial they saw in 2004. And what we're learning is, it doesn't matter. You don't need a doctorate from an elite university to smell BS. And so that's the heart of this show, right? Is trying to be authentic and help folks recognize that we're going to talk to you like we talk to our neighbors. We're going to talk to you like we talk to our friends. Just because we're a mayor does not mean that we're not living in this community just like you. Doesn't mean that we have to grapple with state and federal news in a really awkward and strange way sometimes. Doesn't mean that we feel great about the political process 100% of the time. All of these things. And I think that authenticity is what folks most appreciate, and something that, whether we're talking to folks in the grocery store, whether we're talking to people, when they're rolling down their window to us in traffic, or, trying to be more accessible in a long form podcast way, I think that that's just the theme of the leadership style that we've really been trying to build out here in rural Appalachia and North Carolina.
Absolutely. Preston, what are your thoughts real quick?
Yeah, man, Dalton hit the nail on the head so dang well. But yeah, I mean, it's the authenticity, right? I mean, Dalton and I come from a background that's unlike most mayors in the United States. Outside of being a mayor, I'm a janitor for my family business, and so we can all in America probably count on one hand how many mayors also serve as janitors in their own communities, right? There's not many with a master's degree, right? So there's not many of us out there. And so I've really valued being able to have these real authentic conversations with folk that are grounded and rooted in our conversation and raise up their stories, right? Because we continue talking about these issues, we continue talking about meeting people where they're at. I think we're doing it in such a way that's, one, authentic, but two, raising up these very valid stories that other people are already grappling with. And when we get on the podcast and we talk about like the Healthy Opportunities pilot in North Carolina, that was a pilot program, western part of the state, where people can use their Medicaid dollars to buy food and transportation and support their housing. And the North Carolina General Assembly hasn't funded that yet, but it was a really great thing that they did fund, and I hope they fund it again. People can say, hey, I think that's great. I appreciate that. That helped my family. That helped my child out. That made my quality of life better. And it saved the state of North Carolina money, right?
Yeah.
We all care about that. So say it's North Carolina money, and it made people healthier. Yeah. And so when we're able to have those really grounded and rooted conversations about the issues that we're dealing with and tell stories about us being leaders in our communities from the viewpoint of a janitor or somebody that deeply cares about endangered species and critters all across our nation, I think it makes us a much better North Carolina, a much better nation. And I'm deeply appreciative to be able to do this work alongside Dalton and our friends. I got to give a shout out to our friends at Beacon Media, our good buddy Jeremy Borden, who's the executive director, and former state senator Greg Meyer, who's the brainchild behind the organization. So deeply appreciate those folks.
Well, I'll tell you this as we wrap up. First of all, thanks to you guys for being with us. We're going to have you back on again to bring us some of that local flair. Progressive radio is missing down in your community, and we've had listeners that have said we got to get that, bring back progressive conversations, and we're going to do everything we can to help in that effort. But thank you both, Preston Blakely, for being with us, and Dalton George for being with us. We appreciate your hard work and taking some time out of your morning to chat with our listeners here in Illinois, throughout the country, and certainly there in North Carolina. We'll have you back soon. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thanks for having us.
All right, guys.
Thanks for having us. Looking forward to it.
All right. Be well. Have a great rest of the week. We'll talk soon. Let's take a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. And now our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. And when we come back, we'll be talking with another good friend of ours, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. We'll be right back.
Hey, Max, you look absolutely dashing in that purple tie. Ready to harness the world?
You bet, Daisy. I'm ready as I'll ever be. And might I say, your purple tie really pops with your vest.
Thanks. I almost went with a cape, but didn't want to come across as pretentious.
Nonsense. Anyone in our line of work should rock a cape.
You might be onto something, Max.
Phew, so here we go. First day on the job. We've got this, right?
Right. Don't forget, we both graduated from Dogs Inc. with honors.
Which means I can guide my human around a busy city with ease.
And I can give my human a restful night.
I hope my human is kind and loving.
And I hope mine likes wet kisses and zoomies.
Ready to make a difference?
Born ready. Let's go.
Discover how extraordinary dogs like Daisy and Max change lives at no cost to the recipients. Visit dogsinc.org.
Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. California's primary for governor to replace Governor Gavin Newsom remains unresolved. Votes are still being counted, but early returns had Republican Steve Hilton and Democrat Javier Becerra leading. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has advanced to a November runoff. Primary elections were also held in Iowa, Montana, New Mexico, New Jersey, and South Dakota. The Trump administration is scrapping plans to create a $1.8 billion fund to compensate allies of President Trump. Correspondent Ed Donahue has more.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche told a House committee,
"We are not moving forward with the fund, period."
New York Democrat Grace Meng asked,
"Not moving forward ever?"
Correct.
Oh.
The administration had said the fund was essential to make up for what officials insist was weaponized law enforcement during the Biden administration. Blanche said the Justice Department was not abandoning part of a settlement with the IRS that gave President Trump and his family immunity from tax audits. Connecticut Democrat Rosa DeLauro says it adds up to about $100 million.
We are going to forever barred and precluded from examining or prosecuting the president, his sons, and the Trump organization's current tax filings.
The president sued the IRS over leaked tax returns. Ed Donahue, Washington.
A prediction market reported U.S. Representative George Santos to federal prosecutors after he boasted he'd be going to President Trump's State of the Union address, then bet against his own attendance. This is according to a person who spoke to the AP on condition of anonymity. Kalshi, the online prediction marketplace, referred Santos to the Department of Justice after detecting suspicious trades made by the former congressman. More stories at apnews.com. This is AP News. Two major college conferences are withholding support for a bipartisan college sports bill in Congress.
The two biggest conferences in college sports say they do not support the current version of a bipartisan bill designed to regulate an industry struggling for answers in a quickly changing era in which some players make millions. The Southeastern and Big Ten conferences said the bill leaves critical issues unresolved, including not meaningfully preempting state laws with a federal one. That's long been considered a key element for a measure to get support from the NCAA and the conferences. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The artist who painted a giant mural of life-sized whales on a building in Dallas has filed a $25 million lawsuit against soccer's international governing body and others. Weiland says they illegally painted over his work to promote the city's upcoming World Cup matches. I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. High of 84 today, under partly cloudy skies, southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies tonight, lows of a low around 62. High temperatures reach up to 87 tomorrow, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Mid 80s Friday and Saturday with storms both days. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently 57.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and a drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out, building back, or have worked at it for years, SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Debunking the lies your uncle saw on Facebook. It's Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks for being with us this morning. And thanks to Preston and Dalton for hanging out with us. And as I introduce our man, Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63, I know he's excited to see young cats like this running for and being elected to office. I think that Preston is 31 and Dalton is 28. But they're young, chronologically young. Great new ideas, great new energy. And one of the things that Preston is a real big believer in is learning from those who came before him, and he talks a lot about this in terms of some of the things that they cover, the shoulders that they stand on. Well, that to me are two young guys, chronologically young guys that they've got their oars in the water the kind of the right way. It's nice to see that. Morning, sir. Welcome to the show. What are your thoughts about these two young guys in their mayorship in North Carolina?
Well, good morning, Richard. Thanks for having me again. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm all for it. This is our future. This is the way we need to go. We need to get these, these old fogies that look like me out of office. They've been there too long, and we need some new blood. We need some young cats who have a completely different view on how to do things. And I think we're seeing that little by little across the country.
Yeah.
I know we're excited in Indiana with some of the young politicians that we have coming up. Some haven't been as successful as we wanted them to in our primaries and what have you, but the future is bright. This is the direction we need to go. So more power to him.
Yeah.
I love listening to him talk. So
I got to give a shout out to Blythe Potter there in Indiana, man. She is just hitting on all cylinders and making great presentations. She's really, guys, this is one of those moments where, Kurt and I share this back and forth. We wish we could vote in another state every now and again, because I wish we could take some of the Democratic registered voters in Illinois and have them vote Democratic in Indiana. I know that's crazy, y'all. I haven't been drinking this morning. I'm just saying how we wish we could sort of like share the resource from Illinois to Indiana to get some of those good Indiana candidates across the finish line.
I just wish I could vote for our choice of Secretary of State. We can't even do that. It's selected by delegates.
Yeah, I know. It's craziness.
Ridiculous.
It really is.
It is.
To me, it's a suppression.
It's a control thing.
It's a control thing. It's a suppression and depression thing when it comes to voter participation.
Absolutely.
And so to that end, though, I mean, this is sort of the greater conversation for us to get the things in place that we need to have to enhance the process. This is kind of what Dalton and Preston were talking about. We need to get back in control of, because here's an example, like what you just said in Indiana. That's just shameful. The only fix to it is to change who's in leadership, and the only way to do that is to have people be able to participate in the voting process. I know it, I get the screen, but in North Carolina, and I've known this for a while, since I've been working with and talking with Anderson Clayton, the chair for the Democratic Party. They can't get a budget passed in North Carolina.
Yeah,
Republicans,
3 years, that's crazy.
but Republicans are the ones that are in charge of that. That's insane. And then I asked myself this question: as much as we want to join hands and connect with other folks on the other side of the aisle, if you will, what the hell is wrong with the voters that keep voting those people in where you don't get a budget, which means you don't position yourself? Because, see, part of the reason that a state doesn't get federal funding the way that they want is that the federal – this goes back to this whole thing with Russell Vought. We talked about this yesterday in terms of who's the most dangerous Republican other than Trump. So sometimes people ask, why aren't we getting things done in our state, blue or red? If your budget's not in place, the federal monies, they're going to look at that and go, well, they don't even have a budget. Why should we send them more money if they don't even have a budget? North Carolina voters, y'all got to understand that. I'm sorry to be sounding like I'm picking on you. I'm not. But if you want to get the help that you deserve, y'all got to get people elected who are going to pass a budget for the state where the federal coffers can come your way. And I know Indiana deals, Kurt, you more of an expert on that than I am. You deal with some of those same things from a legislative standpoint.
Well, I mean, I'm no expert on it. I have an opinion, so whether it's right or wrong,
you have an expert.
I'm going to tell you what I feel.
You have an expert opinion on how you feel today. So
yeah. So, and I know we're talking about North Carolina, but this is the problem around the country.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't understand. American voters need to stop and understand what we are doing to ourselves. And if we continue to vote for Republicans into office, this is the outcome that we are going to continue to have. And it's only getting worse, and it will only get worse.
Yeah.
Tell me a time in our country when Republican policies actually benefited American people, when Republicans in office actually pointed our country in the right direction, when Republicans actually did something that benefited us.
Nope.
And I'm sorry, you lit a fire under me.
Well,
this is just ridiculous how people continue to go down this path of conservatism and voting for the
Kurt, it's cover.
It's mind-boggling.
It's cover for what you've said. What you've said so many times. It's cover for the bias that drives their decision. I use bias. I know you're going to use the R word and the S word in terms of those other two isms. It's cover for their bias because they can try to justify it by saying, well, and this is the thing that we can't let go of. I know that there's a lot of people out there across the country that want us to, quote, move on from this awfulness that's coming out of Washington, but we can't do that as responsible adults. We can't move on from it. We cannot be the ones that go, well, okay, he didn't come through on his promises and he didn't do the, but we need to keep calling it out, because that's the only way, I believe, or certainly one of the more probable ways, that we're going to get people who sit on the sidelines to get back in the game. It's to keep calling it out. Preston and Dalton are doing that. They're saying to the local folks right there in their small towns, we hear you, and we are going to fight for the things that you say that you need. And to your point, you get heated about it, because we need to be heated about it, Kurt.
It's crazy to me what, when you view things and you look at history, and we know Republicans, they're idiots. They don't believe in science and history and all of that things. They don't understand. I mean, their whole mantra is, Democrats bad, Republicans good. And it's all about white supremacy. We know this. And this is the bias that, you like to say bias, and I'm going to use the words. I want to share with you something I found out last night doing some reading, laying in bed last night. The labor share of the U.S. GDP is at 54.1%.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, I didn't understand any of this until I started digging into it. That's for the first quarter of 2026. Okay. This is the lowest reading since the Bureau of Labor Statistics started tracking this in 1947.
Yep, right after World War II. Okay,
so I didn't know what that meant, but what it basically means is that the labor share of the GDP, every dollar, of the GDP that is the labor share is a portion of it, and then the rest of it goes to the capital or to business and investors. So we are at the point in our country where the GDP has the lowest percent of labor share since it has been kept track
for over 80 years.
Over 80 years. Okay. We manufacturing fell 0.4%, while the productivity rose 3.6%. So we're manufacturing, we're producing more, but we're spending less money to do it. Well, and why is this all happening?
And so here, let me connect the dots and
you know more about this kind of stuff than I do.
Well, but it's a great thing to bring to bear, because every week I talk about a couple of labor issues, employment issues, and all that in terms of items to watch for the week. What Kurt is talking about, guys, we talk about how our country has pulled away, walked away, turned its eyes away, whatever you want to call it. It's the percentage of economic output that's paid to workers in terms of wages, salaries, and other benefits. And that number has declined quite a bit in the recent decades. The labor share of the GDP fell, I think, what did you say, it was 51, 52%, something
54.1%, lowest since it's been tracked. So it started being tracked in 47. It's the lowest point it's ever been.
So here's what that means in everyday conversation for folks. It means that the share of everyday output from folks who work for a living, not investment income, but people that work for a living, the percentage that the everyday worker gets of the output that we as a society generate and its impact on the GDP has gone down. So in other words, everyday folk are getting less for the work that they put in that contributes to the success and the wealth of our nation. Another way of putting it is everyday folks who are working are getting less, are recipients of less of this nation's largesse. In other words, certain folks ain't getting as much as other folks. And it's a trend that's continuing. It's gotten worse and worse. Kurt, we got to take a break. I know you got something to say about that.
Yep.
Let's take the quick break, and we'll bounce back on the other side. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, talking with Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63, and we'll be right back.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or are covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn.
I never considered myself to be a heavy drinker. At first, I only drank with friends, then to get through the day. I hit rock bottom when I realized I was choosing alcohol over my family. That's when I made the call. With my doctor's help, I was diagnosed with alcohol use disorder. Now, I'm getting to the root of my addiction and finding better ways to cope.
Mental health care works when you make the call. Visit mentalhealthcareworks.org. A message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
You're listening to Chew's Views with Richard Chew. Take it away, Richard.
So, guys, welcome back to the show, and thanks for being with us. Kurt and I were just talking about, before we broke away, the disproportionate amount of wealth that is not going to the people that actually contribute the most to our overall GDP. There we go. We set the stage. We can talk about that for hours on hours. It's part of the greater conversation around money in the money that's in our system. And I want to pivot to something that I know you're probably aware of, but this anti-weaponization fund. Todd Blanche, if you saw this, says we're not moving forward with the anti-weaponization fund. Now, Kurt, you know as well as I do, this is not happening because it's the right thing to do or not to do. That's not there. They're not making an ethical decision like, you know what, that's really not what should be happening here. It's happening because of a couple things. One, folks all across the country were made aware of it. And I believe, I don't have data to back this up, but I believe in my gut that people were yelling and screaming at their congressional leaders. They were calling, they were emailing, they were texting, whatever the case may be. And that it shows to something that you've said so many times about being active and being a participant, being involved. It matters. When you get up off the sofa, the chair, whatever, anywhere we are in the country, we can all point the criticism on ourselves for not doing enough or saying enough. But I think that this is one of those times where, to your point so often, when we get involved and when we yell and scream and when we are passionate about it, we can get some stuff done. That's the reason that they changed. They didn't change out of the goodness of their hearts on this. They realized we're about to get our foot in the ringer here, and we aren't going to be able to get out of it. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I agree with what you said about getting involved. I think it's just the smallest of things that people can do, make a big difference. Conversation is powerful. When you have a conversation, and it doesn't have to be on a national radio channel like we're doing right now. It could be sitting in a cafe in your local town, having a conversation with some people, just talking about it. Hey, what do you think about this? You may not be the one that's going to get out there and stand on the corner with the sign that says, whatever 47 or whatever the case may be, like I have, 2 letters, the second one's a U. Anyway, you may not be that person, but you may be speaking to someone who is that person,
Yeah.
or who knows someone else who is that person. So conversation is extremely important. I think we're at a time when people are educating themselves more than ever before when it comes to politics because of what's happening. Okay, so I think this is a change, and this is what excites me about the younger generation. You know, when I was a young kid, I had so many other things I, concerned myself about. I wasn't into politics, but now I see 22 and 23 and 25-year-olds running for office and trying to, or getting involved in their local parties, whatever the case may be, and it's exciting. I don't think this thing is done yet, though. I think they're going to find a way.
You mean with the weaponization fund?
Yeah, because you got to understand who we're dealing with. We're dealing with Donald Trump. Okay, the most vengeful, immature, narcissistic fool we've ever witnessed in our society. Okay, this guy, he was made to look bad, and he believes to his core that the 2020 election was stolen from him, and he is going to do everything he can to overthrow that in any possible way he has power to do. So I don't think this is going to go away. I think it's going to be regurgitated into another form.
Repurposed into something.
Repurposed. It's going to be thrown up on the table in some other form is what is going to happen. But anyway, for now, But Todd Blanche, come on.
Yeah.
This guy.
So let me throw something out to you that's also kind of a compliment. You just you referenced, being excited about seeing the younger voters being involved. And when you were a certain age, you weren't like so many of them that you see. What you've done is at your age and at our age, what we're doing, and I think this is what more of us of a certain age need to do. We have to do. And that's to look at what we may have been. I was very politically active through all my teens and my 20s. My whole, it's just been that way. It's the household I grew up in. But the point I want to make is this. I think one of the opportunities that we have, and this is one of it's a soft criticism of our Democratic leaders, is that it's the reach back. Like, you just said, Richard, I wasn't that way like some of these 20 and 30-somethings are. But what you are doing is you're reaching back to say, let me lend a hand. I've been through some stuff. I've seen some things. I'm aware of what's out there. And the path that you guys are on should be better and smoother. It's not, so let me lend a hand. That's what I want to see our more of our leaders be able to do, is to reach back and say, hey, y'all come with me. Let's go get this done. Because that, to me, is going to be one of our superpowers, is when we can finally get more people to say, you know what? We need to be reaching back to help our younger generations who are the quote the current voices in many ways, but certainly the next voices, feel even more encouraged. You mean that older guy reached out to me to say, let me help out? I think that's one of the superpowers that we can't let go of. And I mean that in all sincerity, not just to throw you additional flowers. That's a huge tool for us as we go forward and as we keep making changes. It's to keep looking for ways to reach back. Let's help these young folks out, help them do the thing that they want to do for their futures.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you for the for the words that you just shared. I really don't feel like I'm doing anything monumental or what have you. I'm simply having conversations with people about current situations, and can I educate some? Yeah, absolutely. But I've always been one throughout my life that I can talk to people. I can communicate, whether it be about sports or about music, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Personal life. I've always been very observant. And I see so many of the younger generation. I have a daughter that's 32. She's a millennial. So, I can relate to it because, I basically raised her myself. So I'm very in tune with them, and I understand. And just like this generation that is coming up right now, like all of us, people simply want to be heard.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand how valuable listening and conversing is when it comes to just basic humanity and being human beings.
Yeah,
you know?
that's so true.
If you sit and talk with somebody and listen to them, okay, listen to them. I told my daughter when she started dating, if you go on a date and he doesn't listen to you and all he does is talk about himself, walk out. Don't ever go out with the dude again, because he's telling you who he is. He doesn't care. And this is what's important. I think so many of them have been faced with this kind of surrounding. They haven't been listened to. So I think it's extremely important. So
hey, my sports buddy, as we wrap up today, who you got in the NBA Finals? You got San Antonio. You got the Knicks.
Oh man, you know, I'm not a Knicks fan. Okay, I am not a Knicks fan. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
I mean, this goes, you know, and this is twofold because of the Bulls. I'm growing up a Bulls fan, man.
Yeah.
But I also was a Pacers fan when, you know, I liked the Pacers in the ABA.
Yeah.
So this goes back. So you know, San Antonio, the emotion that and I always screw up his name.
Victor Wembanyama.
You know, when Victor, the emotion Victor showed, after winning the Western Finals was
it was inspiring.
I mean, wow,
it was inspiring.
It was
very inspiring.
It was more power to that kid.
Yeah,
you know, plus the Greg Popovich situation.
Yeah,
all of it. I wish him well.
It's the leadership that comes from Popovich that all of us can learn from, and we could talk about that for hours. But hey, man.
Plus, he's a Democrat.
That's right. He's a progressive. Right on. Good for reminding us of that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63. Always great to see you, my man. I'm glad you're well. Stay healthy this week, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday, okay?
All right. Take care. Thanks a lot, Richard. Have a good day.
You too, man. All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, 1520 AM, 103.5 FM, Warren County, North Carolina, and AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
Hey, Tom Harbin here. Tax season is over, but the money you'll waste in 2026 is being decided right now. If your CPA files your taxes next year without planning, it's too late. If you're highly compensated, retired, or run a business, it's likely you're wasting thousands in needless taxes every year. 2026 tax planning needs to start now so you can reduce taxes on required minimum distribution. Grow money safely with tax-advantaged market gains. Make educated decisions instead of winging it. And legally shelter thousands through 2026 tax planning. Take their free 3-minute online tax damage assessment. See if you're okay or being bled dry. Visit BrookfieldTaxPlanning.com. That's BrookfieldTaxPlanning.com. Or call 708-485-3439 so you don't overpay taxes ever again. Call 708-485-3439 now. That's BrookfieldTaxPlanning.com. Or call 708-485-3439.
Some journeys start small, with small pause and big purpose.
Look how little you are, you sweet girl.
Every great partnership begins with the first step.
Bella, let's go.
Guiding them through the world so one day they can guide someone through life. With shared experience, confidence grows, and the path becomes clear. It takes time, patience, and love. But the reward lasts a lifetime.
Hey, good girl, Bella.
You don't just raise a puppy. You raise a future. Become a Dogs Inc. puppy raiser. Give a dog a purpose. Give someone hope.
Learn more at dogsinc.org.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT Willow Springs, is powered by ComEd. Visit ComEd.com/facility assessment to learn more about energy savings.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. High of 84. Today, under partly cloudy skies, southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows of a love around 62. High temperatures reach up to 87. Tomorrow, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Mid-80s, Friday and Saturday, with storms both days. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now, 61.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
We may be waking up, but we're still engaged. It's Choose Views with Richard Chew.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks to our good friend Kurt Mullett from Hoosier Blue 63 for hanging out with us, and the two young mayors down in North Carolina for taking some time to chat. I'm putting this up on the screen so you guys can kind of see it. There's the cap right there. Defend the vote. My man Brian Lemek has got his on, and yeah, he and I have some similar value systems here, and that is God decided. She said, "Listen, as you guys get older, I'm going to take away a little bit of your hair." So Brian and I have similar hairlines. That's why I wear a ball cap on the show, because I don't want to blind you guys from the lights in the studio from my fraying hair. Brian, good morning, brother. Welcome back to Choose Views.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again.
You too, man. I love the ball cap. Thank you so much. And we love having him here in the studio because that's what you do. He is a nationally recognized political strategist, and he is the head of Defend the Vote. Brian, listen, man, this last week, 2 weeks really have been a lot of primaries, a lot of special elections, a lot's going on right now. And tell us if my statement is off or it can be refined. It seems as though there are a lot of folks on the Democratic side that are showing up to vote in these various elections. Is your data, is your research and conversation backing that up, or does it just feel that way because we're winning in certain elections? What's really going on?
I'd say if we look at a midterm primary election, the Democratic turnout is tip-top. I mean, we're sitting really high here, and in all the states that really matter, I mean, the battlegrounds, people are really going to start to turn out throughout the rest of the cycle, but we're seeing it already today. Or last night, we saw it in a meaningful way. Look, the California polls are still coming in. Iowa looks very favorable for us. What we've seen in Texas is really encouraging. What we're going to see in Wisconsin and Michigan is going to be very encouraging for us. Democrats are fired up, too. Democrats are pissed off, actually, is the best way to say it. They're frustrated. They're looking at this broken system. They're turning out to change things.
So let's take that mirror then and place it on our Republican folk. Are they pissed off, or are they saying, okay, business as usual is cool for me because I'm getting the triggers that I want for the Democrats, the libs, and my boy Trump is doing what I want him to do, which is to disrupt things. And I don't care if he's corrupt and if he's creating a weaponization fund. Are Republicans fired up and all, or are they sitting back and going, I didn't get what I want, I'm going to sit at home right now? Where are we on with what Republicans are doing?
Republicans are not immune to high gas costs, high energy costs, high grocery costs.
You mean they don't have a special spigot that they go to out back?
They do not. Though Trump may have promised them one at some point in time, which we know would never come. But look, I think they're getting hip to what's going on here, which is that he lied to them, right? That he said what he needed to do to get elected. He pushed all the buttons that made them feel good. They voted him in, and then he said, fooled you. Here I am, my corrupt system, but 2.0. We learned a lot in our first term. Now we really understand how to manipulate the system, and that's what he's doing here today, right? The corruption is we've never seen this is like, it's out of control, Chew, right? And it's so brazen, and it's so in our face, and it's so nonstop, right? We talked about this last time. It's like, I read an article, I form an opinion, and then there's another article even more dramatic the next day or the next evening or the next afternoon, and it's really hard for all of us to keep up. And that just like continuous assault on us, it's so much, it's so overwhelming that I think his play is that if he keeps tossing it our way, something might slip through the cracks at some time and he will benefit.
Yeah. Well, and to that point about benefiting, he clearly has, from a monetary standpoint, everybody's talked about it, that's got their head screwed on straight, that, this not just him, but the administration is financially benefiting from the corruption. And, the soft words are no longer, we can't use the soft words any longer. I was saying this with Kurt earlier. We've got to be willing to say the hard words to anybody and everybody, because that seems to be part of what has gotten people inspired on our side, if you will, to be partisan in a good way, to get up and say, yeah, they're saying what I want them to say, what needs to be said. I need to know that the Democrats are plugged in. These two young cats in North Carolina, they figured it out. They broke the code. Just talk to people where they are. Hear what they have to say.
And just look. Acknowledge the reality before us. Stop playing games. Say the system's broken. It's not working for any of us. It's working for a small few. Once you acknowledge that system's broken, Chu, you instantly create a little bit of trust, right? So it's like, yeah, I hear you, I see you. People want to be heard, right? So I hear you, I see you. Yeah, the system is broken. And then you start to talk about some of these policies. You're just a more credible person. You can deliver it in a more credible way, in a more believable way. Democrats are working toward the solutions. We'll have the solutions. We need the gavels to get there.
Yeah.
Our polling is telling us independents, while they don't love Democrats, they do not like Republicans, and they are coming to the Democratic side. And a lot of Republicans, once they make the association that it is in fact Trump and his administration and all of the Republicans in Congress creating this hardships for them, they're either going to sit at home because they'll never vote for a Democrat, or they're going to just continue, or we might see some flips, right? I mean, we've done the groups that we've done. We heard from battleground Republicans that voted for Trump that say things like this: he's corrupt, he's a liar, can't be trusted, right? These are people that have voted for him, some as many as 3 times, right? So the tide is shifting right now. Things are going in the Democrats' favor.
How do you navigate through when you talk to someone? Because I was waiting to hear you say something different, so I'm glad I shut my mouth and listened. But how do you navigate when you're talking to a group of people that say, I voted for him 3 times, and something as inane as, and if he ran again, I'd vote for him again, or I know he's a liar, or that he's lied. I know that this is corruption that's going on. I know that the promises are this, and I got issues with the Epstein files. And the person, and I know my gas prices are up. I don't have the special spigot that he said I could use out back. And they still say something like, "I'll never vote for a Democrat," or I'm still down with Trump and the Republicans as a party. First of all, how does that strike you, being someone that has to hear that face forward with somebody that you're maybe polling or in a focus group? And then, do you ever try to offer some sort of salvo for that person, if I'm making any sense? So the two things. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I didn't mean to stop you. I was answering too early. But in the group setting, we're there to learn, right? So we're not trying to persuade necessarily. We're just trying to hear. And then based on what we're hearing, we form opinions, and we work on messaging, and we work on that to inform our next poll. So those are straight up just learning sessions. But in the daily interactions with family and others on the Hill, when that perception is shared and that experience is shared, and they still like him and still want to vote for him, they go into that lost cause category of the "I can't pay you any mind. This is you are gone to us. I need to work on the persuadables. We need to work on those independents. We need to shore up our Democratic base," right? I mean, we're not going to get 100% of everything, and we know that. We don't need 100%, Chu. Right? So you guys keep liking him, keep voting for him, keep doing your thing. We're going to win, and guess what? You're going to benefit. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's the thing right there. This is the, oh my goodness. David Jolly was on a little over a year ago, and I've repeated this a bunch of times, and I'm not name dropping. I'm just saying it because he made a great perspective as a former Republican. It's like the Democratic ideas did not lose us the elections that we've lost. Our ideas are better. Maybe our implementation or our messaging or all the things that we can check the box and say we could do better at, better candidates, all those things. But our ideas at their core are good and better because they're not designed to take anything away from anybody. They're not designed to limit anybody's ability to have prosperity and to live a good life and all those other things that we really do believe in and we want to see for everybody. But, you know, it's not our, how do I want to say this? We're not failing in terms of good ideas. We're not failing in that space. And not to say that we're failing, but, you know, we're not winning in the areas that we need to win. But it's not because our ideas are there to, and by design are looking to hurt people. They're actually literally better. And that's that's kind of the core or base of why I asked you that question. Like, you talk to somebody and they're still stuck on stupid. Not to be disrespectful, but how do you navigate through that?
That is okay to be stuck. We move on from them quickly if we can. Look, I look at Democrats as a party of empathy, right?
Yeah.
And an appreciation that your success, Chew, can be my success, right? They're not independent of each other, right? Nope. And that you do well, I can do well, we can all do well, we can all lift each other up. And when I'm doing bad, when I'm doing poorly, when things aren't going my way, I know there's others around that can take care of me, protect me, lift me up. So that's the Democratic values.
Yeah, it's momentum that keeps us going forward. It's like, if this person over here is doing well, I'm doing well, then we have to go find somebody else, a third person to help them do well. When that happens, then it becomes, you know, contagious in a good way. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. Brian, let's take a quick break, man, and come back. We're going to talk a little bit about some things that are happening with some new appointments that I want to get your thoughts on. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chew, and I am talking with Brian Lemek. We'll be right back.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. Whether you're out in the field playing football or baseball, or inside the stadium playing hockey or basketball, or any sport really, let's take a look at some sporting goods stores that support the Democratic Party. Academy. Now, Academy as a company does not give to politics. Some of their senior leaders do, and in 2024, 87% of their donations went to Democrats. Hibbett. Now, Hibbett as a company does not give to politics, but some of their senior leaders do, and in 2024, 93% of those donations went to Democrats. Dick's Sporting Goods. Now, Dick's Sporting Goods as a company does not give to politics. Yes, some of their senior leaders do, and it's kind of a little all over. Sometimes lean more right, sometimes lean more left. It's really hard to find a pattern. But hey, remember when the right was attacking Dick's Sporting Goods when they decided to push the age of purchasing firearms to 21 and stop selling assault-styled rifles? This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
People don't realize that glaucoma is one of the leading causes of blindness.
Because there are often no early symptoms, nearly half of those with glaucoma may not even know they have it until vision loss has occurred.
I was diagnosed with normal tension glaucoma in July of 2020. And what we found out at that point was I had already lost 40% of my sight. You think it only affects people that are, 75 or older, retired, grandparents, and that's not the reality of it.
I didn't think at all glaucoma was going to affect me because I didn't know of anyone that had glaucoma, no one in my family. When you have glaucoma, you can't get back that sight that you lost. And so early detection and treatment is vitally, vitally important.
Don't miss life's most beautiful moments. Schedule an eye exam today.
National Glaucoma Research, a Bright Focus Foundation program, offers free resources and tips for healthy vision.
Learn how to protect your sight at stopglaucoma.org.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
No fake news here. It's Choose Views with Richard Chew.
It's time to defend the vote, y'all. This is Choose Views, and I'm speaking with our good friend, Brian Lemek, Executive Director and founder of Defend the Vote. Brian, so you and Senator Alex Padilla had a great conversation around this desire for Trump to get rid of mail-in voting. And, obviously he votes that way, has voted that way for a while, frankly. but through executive order wants to get rid of it. Talk a little bit about what you and U.S. Senator Padilla did in that space.
I'll tell you what, this goes back to that corruption argument, too, that we're always talking about. It comes in many forms, right? It's not just gold bars in the sport code. It's not, manipulating the system. It's not getting all your cronies in positions of power. It's not using corporate money and billionaires to influence elections and votes. I mean, this is him looking and saying, as we've talked about in my favorite line, they can't win, so they cheat. This is their way of saying, all right, we're going to create this whole narrative around this wildly popular voting measure that we have here, which is vote by mail. We're going to create this whole narrative how it is a way to manipulate elections for Democrats, how it's not lawful, how people cheat the system to benefit, or create this whole campaign to create this instability around this very, very effective, very, very safe way for Americans to vote. And Americans choose that if you're working second shift, you get off at 3, the polls close at 7, you got 4 hours to vote, right? So if you can't make it in that 4-hour window, and by the way, you probably have kids, you got to pick up from school, whatever.
Yeah.
You use vote by mail, you use some of these early tactics. And so Trump is going after that through executive order because it can't get in any other way. And it's not going to pass. Nothing's going to happen with this. But he's going after because he knows that will limit our ability to vote. That will limit Democratic votes. And despite him doing it himself, it's not the first time, too, that Donald Trump has done something and encouraged others not to, right? So he's using this bit of power and he's using his manipulative tactics to create instability that after the election, this is really where it's going to get us, because nothing's going to happen when Americans are going to vote by mail. He's going to talk about how the vote by mail ballots it was rigged. He's going to implement strategies where if it's not postmarked on a certain date, it doesn't count, right? He's going to take all these things that were always great through all our past elections until he started this conversation around it not being forthright. He's going to use all these measures now to create instability so that after the election officials look and they hear and they feel pressure for him and they feel like maybe they shouldn't certify because for 6 months, they've been hearing about how that system doesn't work, right? Yeah. So that's the whole. It's so maniacal, and it's like if you could use this strategy for good, we'd be in a better place, right? But no, they use it for bad. So this is what he's trying to do here: is create instability so that when we do win the midterms, it's going to be called the question, and possibly EOs aren't certifying elections. Yeah, that's his real strategy.
Yeah, and Johnson will, little Mikey J will try to lean into this as well.
Mikey J.
I know, off the air. I'm going to keep it moving. All right, so two other things I want to hit you with. The I called it reparations for criminals, but with the fund has been squashed. And what are your thoughts there? And I'm talking about the weaponization fund.
I mean, I thought I was reading The Onion the first time.
I did
right?
too. I had to check. It was like, wait a minute. Go ahead. Sorry, man.
I was like, these guys are really getting funnier and funnier and funnier. And then I was like, oh no, this is actually real news. Yeah, 1.776. I mean, what a slap in our faces, right? Just like what a goofball.
Yeah.
I think intelligence won in this argument, right? Rational thought,
and fear of what voters are going to say. Like, wait a minute, we need stuff to fix our whatever down the street, and you're giving these fools a check for terrorizing our nation.
The Republican delegation was like, "Do you ever want us to win again?" Like
they didn't do it because it was the right thing, Brian. They didn't do it because it was the right thing. They did it out of political fear.
I mean, it's just shocking. Look, everything is done out of political fear, right? Up is down, left is right. What was once rational or strong political strategies out the window the moment he puts his thumb on the scale and says, I want this guy, right? Look, just think about, not to totally go off the rails here, but just think about the Senate race in Texas, where the only viable candidate was Cornyn to beat Tallarico. And Trump was like, well, Cornyn wasn't nice to me, or he wasn't nice enough to me, and Paxton was placating me on every issue ever. Let's go behind Paxton. Just because he felt Cornyn slighted him or didn't pump his tires enough. And they have a real shot at losing this election, right? Just the childish nature of everything it's almost overwhelming, and we benefit from it. So
yeah, and here's the thing. Here's the unique craziness about it. We as Democrats benefit from it, but guess who else really benefits? The country does, because then we can get some stuff done. So we'll allow his craziness to benefit us if we can stay focused and keep doing what we've been doing. This is not a pivot, but it's something that I've been dying to ask you, because when this first broke, and we're talking about, I'm talking about it from the perspective of voting, so it might be considered a reach. However, Bill Pulte, as the acting now head of the Department of National Intelligence, I'm concerned, but not from a fearful standpoint. I'm concerned from what people may not be aware of. Him being appointed as an already Senate-approved cabinet member can be in this role of DNI for 210 days, which takes us through the midterm elections. And I've been saying for a while that my concern is that they will create a drama that will give them the ability to try to say that we're going to mess with the elections, we're going to halt certain states' elections, et cetera, et cetera. And now Pulte, the same guy that went after Tish James, that went after Adam Schiff and Jerome Powell, because he had access to housing information, now has access to voting information. And so you know where I'm going with this. What do you think of this appointment?
I do.
What are your thoughts about this in terms of the danger?
I mean, look, it's probably the best example of corruption. A wildly unqualified candidate for the position gets it because the one qualification that he actually has is his loyalty to Trump, right? That's his qualification. Wildly unpopular at housing, right? And these witch hunts, which is not a term I love, but let's call it that, and their ineffectiveness and their waste of time around this mortgage scandal, right, with Schiff and Tish James. We're going to see the same type of behaviors here. He has a one-man audience, right? His name is Donald Trump, and that's all we're trying to do. So, yeah, they should not have access to this stuff, right? They don't need or deserve access to it, and it is not their department, right? But again, through the corrupt system, right, and their manipulation of it, they're going to make Americans think that they should. And they're going to push that they should. And when they take it, they're going to look back and say, well, we should have had it the whole time. Yeah. Right? And they're going to make some argument there to, again, get their 35 or 38% base on their side. So I think it's an embarrassment and a long line of embarrassments, right? And tomorrow will be a new one, this afternoon perhaps as well. There was just one reason for this, and it was because he will do what Trump says. And he will be his microphone and his megaphone, and that's why he's there. So, look, we're beyond qualifications from past career experience for these characters. There is one thing only, and it is their loyalty to Trump. And if they have that, then they get whatever position they want.
And they get we can track this, guys. For those who might think, no, we're being crazy, just track it. I mean, we just came off the conversation about Cornyn and Paxson. That's another example. I mean, you're right. John Cornyn had voted pretty much right down the line with Trump, and occasionally would step out of line and say, what about this? But in terms of his actual voting, he was right in line with what Donald Trump wanted to get done. And even to the extent, this is why Trump's insanity is just so crazy. Even when it came to the gerrymander, remember when he made the phone call to Greg Abbott and said, hey, listen, dude, I need 5 seats. Cornyn was behind that. He didn't. Yes. So, but anyhow, let's hope that they keep making. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
No, he didn't endorse him early enough. That's it. Like, that was one of the main points he made. He didn't endorse him early enough. Like, get over yourself, dude. Like you got to really get with it. But you know what? Again, we benefit from his behavior. So yeah, I'll take the W there.
Me too.
And let's see what Talarico can do with it. And
yeah, exactly. Next time we have you on, we'll talk a little bit more about that race. What were you going to say though? I'm sorry.
I was just thinking about just some of what we just saw yesterday in Alabama.
Yeah, I know.
And just thinking back on my line I like to use on they can't win so they cheat. Like Like, if you're a golfer, right?
Yep.
I'm a golfer. You and I go to tee off, and we know par is 72, and we go out there, and you're playing well, man. You're pacing in a great way, and all of a sudden the pro comes out and he says, you know what? We changed the rules. Par still for you is 72, but Brian, par for you is 90 now, and you shoot a 72, I shoot at 89, and I win, right? Like, that's what's happening here with Republicans. We look at what they just did in Alabama, and they're just like, look, we're starting to lose now, so we're going to change par.
Yep.
But just for Brian, right? So that's what we're seeing here in this.
That's such a great analogy.
Are looking and saying we can't win. Yeah, and they're just coming back and saying, all right, you know what? New rules.
Yeah.
New rules. This is what we're going to do now so that we can get the dub. And it's bullshit that the state legislatures are allowing them to do that, part of my language, but that's just the reality. So.
Yeah, we caught it. So I'm going to wrap up with this. Brian is just a great voice, guys. You got to check him out. And I'm loving your albums in the background, Blues Brothers and Fleetwood Mac, two great groups that you love. I know. You had to put that up, man. So good for you.
Blues Brothers is for you.
That's
Can't
right.
talk to Chicago and not have Blues Brothers.
That's right. Brian Lemek, he is the national voice and the voice that speaks to voting. Defend the Vote, executive director and founder. Thanks for hanging out with us today, man. Always great to see you. Always so much good energy, and I love it when we have a chance to chat. So stay safe, and we'll talk to you again in a few weeks, okay?
Thank you, brother. You too.
All right. Talk to you soon. Stay tuned, guys, for the Stephanie Miller Show. And remember, take a deep breath and make your life count. We will see you tomorrow.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
I think my biggest challenge was getting through to him to understand that love is real and you have goals in mind, you have things that want to happen, and I want to help you get there.
Sometimes people tend to shy away from wanting to adopt teenagers because they feel like they've lost so much, but there's still so much to gain.
Just knowing that there's just that other person that cares and loves me out there, it feels great. And they've done so much for me, and I can only be appreciative every single day for just having them in my life.
I think it's been the best decision because I gained a son, and he's the best son ever. If I was down and out, he'd be there.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Amazon Business. Discover smart business buying, where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes, so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at AmazonBusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. California's primary for governor to replace Governor Gavin Newsom remains unresolved. Votes are still being counted, but early returns had Republican Steve Hilton and Democrat Javier Becerra leading. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass has advanced to a November runoff. Primary elections were also held in Iowa, Montana, New Mexico, New Jersey, and South Dakota. The Trump administration is scrapping plans to create a $1.8 billion fund to compensate allies of President Trump. Correspondent Ed Donahue has more.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche told a House committee,
"We are not moving forward with the fund, period."
New York Democrat Grace Meng asked,
"Not moving forward ever?"
"Correct."
Oh.
The administration had said the fund was essential to make up for what officials insist was weaponized law enforcement during the Biden administration. Blanche said the Justice Department was not abandoning part of a settlement with the IRS that gave President Trump and his family immunity from tax audits. Connecticut Democrat Rosa DeLauro says it adds up to about $100 million.
We are going to forever barred and precluded from examining or prosecuting the president, his sons, and the Trump organization's current tax filings."
The president sued the IRS over leaked tax returns. Ed Donahue, Washington.
A prediction market reported U.S. Representative George Santos to federal prosecutors after he boasted he'd be going to President Trump's State of the Union address, then bet against his own attendance. This is according to a person who spoke to the AP on condition of anonymity. Kalshi, the online prediction marketplace, referred Santos to the Department of Justice after detecting suspicious trades made by the former congressman. More stories at apnews.com. This is AP News. Two major college conferences are withholding support for a bipartisan college sports bill in Congress.
The two biggest conferences in college sports say they do not support the current version of a bipartisan bill designed to regulate an industry struggling for answers in a quickly changing era in which some players make millions. The Southeastern and Big Ten conferences said the bill leaves critical issues unresolved, including not meaningfully preempting state laws with a federal one. That's long been considered a key element for a measure to get support from the NCAA and the conferences. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The artist who painted a giant mural of life-sized whales on a building in Dallas has filed a $25 million lawsuit against soccer's international governing body and others. Weiland says they illegally painted over his work to promote the city's upcoming World Cup matches. I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. High of 84 today, under partly cloudy skies, southeast winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly clear skies. Tonight, lows of aloft around 62. High temperatures reach up to 87. Tomorrow, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Mid-80s Friday and Saturday with storms both days. That's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 63 degrees.
Chicago's Progressive Talk WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Find rebates and discounts on energy-efficient products at ComEd.com/home savings.
Spring is here and summer heat is right around the corner. Is your home ready to stay cool and energy efficient? At Green Attic, they help Chicagoland homeowners prepare their homes for rising temperatures. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 five-star reviews, Green Attic is a trusted expert in attic insulation, blow-in cellulose, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, mold remediation, and solar attic fan installation. When the sun heats up your attic, that trapped heat can force your air conditioner to work overtime. Proper insulation and ventilation helps keep your home cooler and lowers your energy bills. Green Attic also offers full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, including asphalt shingles, flat roofs, Da Vinci, Brava, Cedar, Tesla solar roof, and solar panels options, all backed by the industry's 10-year labor warranty. Spring is the perfect time to fix insulation problems and aging roofs before the summer heat and storm season arrive. Schedule your free insulation consultation today at greenattic.com or get an instant roofing estimate at greenatticroofing.com. Green Attic, healthy home, happy family.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
There are many times I thought, I can't do this. I mean, what parent isn't worried about, what am I not doing right? What am I not doing enough? And then I realized, wait, that's being a parent.
Don't worry about being perfect. I've had around 3 other mother figures in my life, but only one of them has taught me how a mother loves.
The greatest reward for me is he makes me better every day.
I would tell a family considering adopting a teenager that teenager, whoever it is, needs you, and they need what you have to offer.
Taylor's giving me hope. He's our son, and that is what he will always be.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.